all news, all the time. This is 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM. You give us 22 minutes, we'll give you the world.
We'll spot you 17 degrees here at 620. I'm Larry Mullins, and here's what's happening. More than 3 million documents released today by the government pertaining to Jeffrey Epstein, and one of the heads of the New York Giants reportedly prominently mentioned with emails suggesting Epstein scouted women for him. We'll have the latest on that. Downtown, it started in Foley Square, but now a New York solidarity protest in step with ICE protesters in Minneapolis continues to wind its way through the city, and 1010 Wins is there. A new state law which Governor Hochul hoped to get on the books, which would limit local police in helping ICE agents. She says local police would stick to fighting local crimes. Thank you. A new poll finds that paying for health care is now America's top financial worry, and especially after Congress failed last year to extend some Affordable Care Act subsidies. That's how worried? Stand by. And it's Grammy weekend, and guess who's performing? Who else but Bruno Mars? Roll back the rugs, everybody, because you already know you're going to be dancing. Details in 1010 Wins Entertainment. AccuWeather says tonight, breezy, clear, and cold. Drop down to a low of 8 degrees on this Friday night. Wins News Time 621. And from your Mercedes-Benz of Edison.com traffic center, get you where you need to go tonight. Here's Greg Rice.
Yeah, Larry, as mentioned, demonstrations unfolding through Manhattan. This group that we just saw march past West Houston Street up 6th Avenue took them 20 to 30 minutes to clear the camera in that area. There are that many people out there tonight marching through Manhattan, and wherever this group goes, you won't be able to. Right now, they are in the vicinity of Washington Square Park, if not further up 6th Avenue, so keep that in mind. Getting around Manhattan tonight, the subways are staying below ground. That is going to be the better idea. Now, the subways are not perfect. They never are. 2, 3, 5, A, E, F, Q, R, and W trains all have some issue, but even with that, subways are still going to be easier than driving around. Even staying with the FDR isn't perfect. Southbound, you're slow into the 70s, and then the FDR crawling either way towards East 6th Street because of a southbound crash. The ride right now on the west, on the Battery Park underpass, still awful over the west side as they clear a crash. Citybound, George, lowers better upper, an extra 15 to 20. The west side, best of what you've got getting out. Northbound Deegan, best from the Bronx. Lincoln, 20 to 30 minutes in. Outbound, 15 to 20 from 11th. U1 9th, 15 to 20 home at the Holland, but rapidly improving. Inbound Skyway is slow. Newark Day is better. Clearview, Throgsneck combination, best of it across the upper East River. Greg Rice, 1010 Wins, 92.3 FM.
People are talking about that bombshell from the Epstein files tonight. Emails showing Jeffrey Epstein connected New York Giants chairman and co-owner Steve Tisch with multiple women. Tisch reportedly also received scouting reports on women from Epstein, and according to these emails, the two discussed whether women were faux or civilian or, quote, a working girl. Those emails reportedly sent in 2013. There are also emails between Epstein and the women in which they talked about meeting with Tisch and how he could help them with their acting careers. So far, there has been no comment from Tisch or the Giants organization. As you've been hearing on 1010 Wins, protesters marching in the streets tonight, just like they're doing all over the country in opposition to the ICE crackdowns in Minneapolis. An overwhelming number of Americans say they want ICE to be abolished, and particularly in the wake of several deaths attributed to their brushes with the public. 1010 Wins reporter Marla Diamond following the protesters here tonight, sharing the latest.
Many in this massive crowd came straight from school.
We're showing this administration that the young people are ready to stand up and ready to protect our neighbors and our friends.
Protesting and marching over mounds of snow at the curbs. Sarah Borden of Manhattan was heartened by the turnout in the freezing cold.
I'm from Minnesota, so it's pretty meaningful for me. I do hope that this is demonstrating support for my personal friends and family back home.
Mayor Mamdani called the protests a direct challenge to ICE's brutality, adding the power is with the people. Marla Diamond, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM in Foley Square.
Also tonight, Governor Hochul proposing a new law that would limit local police involvement with ICE.
ICE would no longer be allowed help with civil immigration enforcement under the Local Cops, Local Crimes Act. Governor Hochul says currently local police are being ordered to serve as ICE agents.
Don't expect our local law enforcement to team up with them because we have other responsibilities for our local law enforcement.
Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch says when ICE agents cause unrest, local police don't get to walk away from the consequences.
They are the ones who stay, who respond to the next 911 call, who work to keep neighborhoods stable, and who have to rebuild trust that may have been damaged by actions that they themselves did not take.
Mac Rosenberg, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
Up in the Bronx, police are investigating after a guy was apparently dragged by a car from the Bronx into Yonkers late last night. They say he was lying in the road near West 262nd Street and Broadway when a red Honda CR-V came along and hit him and kept going up to Carroll Avenue in Yonkers. They say once the 31-year-old driver finally parked his car, he realized the guy had been stuck underneath and called 911. The victim was unconscious and unresponsive with multiple injuries. There's been no arrest. The investigation continues tonight. Going to be a cold one, folks. 17 right now, headed down to 8 degrees in Midtown. We'll have a complete AccuWeather forecast coming up in just a few. And now Bloomberg Money Watch.
A powerful winter storm heading our way is also bearing down on the most southeastern of the nation's southeast, threatening to smash temperature records in Florida and putting its citrus industry at risk of a damaging freeze. Most of Polk County, Florida's top citrus-producing county with 30% of the state's output last year, is within the zone expected to face below freezing temperatures. Today's report showing hotter than expected December wholesale inflation, up 3% over the past year, helped yank Wall Street lower today. Dow fell 179, NASDAQ down 223, S&P down 30. I'm Andrew O'Day, Bloomberg Money Watch on 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM.
1010 Wins.
Clear and concise. It's the first thing I turn on when I wake up. I love that it's local.
1010 Wins.
All news all the time.
On 92.3 FM.
17 degrees, headed down to 8 tonight. Have a safe and warm weekend. Good evening, I'm Larry Mullins. Wins News Time, 6:30.
Good evening, I'm Lori Madden. Volunteer fire departments on Long Island and throughout the state are putting out the call. We need more volunteers.
David Denniston of the Association of Fire Districts says it's now become a crisis. People working 2 or 3 jobs to afford to live on Long Island, and they cannot be volunteers with their local fire departments.
We can no longer guarantee that a fire truck will arrive as quickly as the public expects or deserves when someone in our community dials 911.
They are looking for a new law allowing nominal pay for volunteers,
so that they don't have to go get that second job.
The proposal would not raise taxes. Instead, they plan to use state grants to pay people. Sophia Hall, 1010 Wins, and 92.3 FM on Long Island.
Wins News Time, 6:31. Let's get you where you need to go. Here's Greg Rice.
Well, Lori, here is the east side of Manhattan. Southbound FDR Drive near East 14th Street, just south of it. In fact, you got traffic. Looks like you got multiple lanes out as traffic is now at a standstill all the way back towards Gracie Mansion. One big mess. Northbound FDR Drive, rubbernecking, and emergency vehicles have you slow from the Manhattan Bridge up towards East 6th Street. And then the southbound FDR still slow into the west side bound Battery Park underpass because of that MTA bus-involved crash. In Queens, on the westbound Jackie Robinson Parkway, getting out towards Forest Park Drive, that collision is what slows you down through Kew Gardens. And that's either way in the Grand Central. Onto the westbound Jackie. And in Queens, on the southbound Cross Island Parkway at Lincoln Boulevard, somebody wrecked in the left lane. That makes a mess all the way to Union Turnpike. Van Wyck isn't perfect either. Southbound Van Wyck just before Kew Gardens. A collision in the right lane has you slow from Jewel Avenue. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. Citybound side of the George, you got a pretty decent ride to either level. West side by far the best of it out of town. Over at the Lincoln Tunnel, the outbound North Tube right now, you got a breakdown of the left lane. So it's going to get a whole lot worse off of 11th Avenue. It's already 20 to 30 minutes. Outbound 9th Avenue, much better. Inbound Lincoln, it's about an extra 15 to 20. The inbound Holland, 20 from the Skyway, better off the Newark Bay. Outbound Holland, no more than 15 minutes. Greg Rice, 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM.
Let's get you caught up on your AccuWeather forecast now. Here's meteorologist Carrie Schwindenhammer.
Well, we're going to be certainly experiencing cold weather here again as we head through the night tonight. Temperatures dropping to 8 in the city, but some of those suburbs that are colder will get down to between 0 and 5 below. There is a cold weather advisory in effect until 10 a.m. tomorrow, and with mainly clear skies tonight, temperatures certainly can fall pretty noticeably. Tomorrow, still on the cold side, with sunshine followed by some clouds. We'll get up to 20, then brisk and quite cold tomorrow night, below 14. A storm passing by well offshore can bring a coating to an inch to parts of eastern Long Island on Sunday, albeit probably not much more than that. And at this point, we think the main impact is going to be wind adding to how cold it feels during the day on Sunday, and there could be some coastal flooding and beach erosion as well. Winds gusting to 35 miles an hour, the high 24. Brisk and cold on Monday despite sunshine much of the time, the high 31 degrees. Right now in Central Park, 17 under clear skies, humidity 37%, and the wind northwest gusting to 25. 17 going down to 8 in Midtown. I'm Trey Schwendenhammer on New York's weather station. 1010 winds on 92.3 FM.
A federal judge in Los Angeles has ordered former CNN reporter and anchor Don Lemon released from custody after he was arrested at the direction of U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi. Bondi today said Lemon was charged with federal civil rights crimes in connection with an anti-ICE protest at a church in Minnesota.
Lemon went into the church and recorded anti-immigration enforcement protesters. The former CNN anchor says he was there as a journalist with no affiliation to the protesters. His lawyer says federal agents took Lemon into custody in Los Angeles, where he was covering the Grammy Awards. A magistrate judge last week rejected an initial attempt to charge Lemon. His lawyer says Lemon was doing constitutionally protected work. Sagar, Magani, Washington.
Senate leaders are scrambling to save a bipartisan spending deal to prevent a partial government shutdown.
The deal would fund DHS for 2 more weeks and the rest of the government through the end of September. President Trump is on board, but swift action on the package is being held up. Along with concerns over how DHS funding might be handled in the next couple of weeks, Republican Senator Lindsey Graham says he objects to the repeal of a provision passed last year allowing senators to sue the government for damages because their phone records were obtained by former special counsel Jack Smith. Earlier this month, the House voted unanimously to strike that law.
The Senate is voting tonight. That's correspondent Stephen Portnoy. When it comes to health care, a new poll has found that paying for coverage has become the top financial worry of Americans. That includes insurance, out-of-pocket expenses, and prescription drug costs. The KFF poll found that 2/3 of Americans say they are very or somewhat worried about affording health care, outranking groceries, utilities, or housing costs. Last year, Congress failed to extend some Affordable Care Act subsidies, making premiums out of reach for millions. The iPhone is helping Apple dial into a new blockbuster profit.
Apple posted a profit of $42.1 billion, a 16% jump from a year earlier. Its thinner, higher-priced iPhones were a big holiday hit. Apple set a record for quarterly iPhone sales. CEO Tim Cook called the demand staggering and said the company is struggling to keep up with its iPhone inventories dwindling.
And at this point, it's difficult to predict when supply and demand will balance.
Apple's only slowdowns last quarter were in sales of Apple Watches, AirPods, and Macs.
It's correspondent Michael Wallace. 17 degrees now. The real field temperature is 6. We are going down to 8 degrees tonight, below 0 in some suburbs. Lose the noise. Keep the news. Ditch the AM static for the clarity of 92.3 FM.
The News Watch never stops.